Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever Lotus Rewind, episode 1 here. Of course, I'm joined by my lovely analysts, Stubby and Zymphonic. And today we have a special guest with us. Some of you may recognize him as Nuffies. Nuffies, welcome to Lotus Rewind, episode 1. So special of you to be here on the first episode ever. You must feel so special right now, right? I mean,
Yeah, I'm a content machine. I
yeah,
understand
it's
why you got me first.
pretty much the most prestigious show that you could be on in any amateur league across the nation. So, yeah, let's get right here into the interview with Nuffies. Zymphonic, if you want to start us out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Nuffies, a prestigious guest of yourself, of your caliber has to have, some crazy background or something that just makes you so special to be here on the first episode. So tell me a little bit about your amateur experience and kind of what got you into the scene.
Um, well, I was a good player back in the day.
Okay.
Starting off in like season 3, season 4, I was a really good player, and I was just like going about my day, and I needed an outlet to like actually progress. That's not solo queue. At the time, I was higher ranked, but yeah, I needed an outlet, so it turned me to like TeamSpeak tourneys. And then from TeamSpeak tourneys came individual tourneys, and then it came to like these leagues. Think about like 5 years ago, 6 years ago was when I joined my first league. Um, yeah, and then from there it's just been like team hopping and stuff, finding different organizations that can suit me, and then now I'm with Dare and I guess CB Rush as an independent contractor. So, uh, yeah, it's been a long line of different teams and different tourneys, and some wins, some losses. But overall, I think I've had a pretty good amateur career. Yeah.
All right, at this point, I'm going to pass it over to the man himself, Stubby. Stubby, you have anything you want to talk to Nuffies about?
Well, personally, I want your opinion on maybe if you have another team that you're looking out for, maybe that CB Rush has to worry about in the league, or any players that you're looking out for particularly. I know you faced off the infamous Acid last week and did take him down. So, thoughts on your maybe top 8 teams this split, just based off the top of your head, and maybe I know there's only been 1 week and there's not much to show for it, but if you just have a general idea, go for it.
Yeah, I wrote these down. I actually made the whole 16. I don't know how I analyze this, but I always do this shit every time. I'm sorry for cursing. I don't know if I
No,
can.
you can curse.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I put CB Russia at 1, but I feel like that's a very biased take. So we're just gonna remove my team off that one, and we're just gonna go with like Cape Dog's Valor. I feel like Cape Dog's Valor is like the only other team that can possibly contest us in any sort of fashion. I think we've uh, I think we've seen like what we did to Omega, and I have them rated 4th, or in this case 3rd, if I disinclude my team. So I put Cape Dog's Valor at 2, Catalyst Wraith at 3. I think Catalyst Wraith is a really strong team. I think all their players are pretty good. Um, I got Omega at 4, Absolute Esports at 5, Lotus White at 6, Cape Dogs Unchained at 7, Lotus Black at 8, and then if we were doing the remove CB Rush, then I put Dare at 9th. So I think that's a pretty unbiased list.
Yeah, no biases here.
Yeah, no biases. Yeah.
Something
So
really quick, Stubby, before you continue, I want to ask. So you said you put Lotus White and Lotus Black at like 6th and 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Not like we're a Lotus show or anything, but
Oh, right. My bad.
yeah, I don't know if you forgot to read the script. You're supposed to put them a little bit higher up on the tier list here, but could you
I
maybe give me some insight onto as to like why you think that they're maybe middle of the pack?
I think okay, so for Lotus White, I'm not too sure which one is the Elmo lineup and which one is the one with
El-
Zangi.
Elmo's the black and Zongi's the white. So
Okay, so
Zongi's
yeah.
Lotus White, yeah.
Yeah, so all like Lotus White's like players are just like they're decent. Like I think I've seen most of them. I've recognized most of their names. I've noticed that they're like pretty good players. Um if we're being honest, I think Lotus Black has way more weaknesses. Just watching the games, because I watched that one. Obviously, I can't watch the ones that are not streamed or anything like that. So that's why they're low on my list, but they still end up being better than. I mean, obviously they're better than Dare. I think they're better than TA, DZG, all these other teams, um, based off the fact that they're probably just better around like solo players. Individual players are better, right?
Okay.
So I mean, that's all you could think about for the first couple weeks is like
Yeah.
which individual players make up the team, right? And why I have like something like Absolute Esports way higher is I think actually um, like I think Mercy Hawk is just insane. I think Mercy Hawk's an insane player. I think like just having him on the team and how he enabled all his players like just makes them a better team in general. I have Omega better because you know they're just better players again. And then for like I thought I thought my well, there was a hot take I had here. No,
Oh, we're
actually,
we're
yeah.
all for hot takes here. Lay them out.
No, I actually think that I think it's just that it's just the players, right? The players make up the team right now, so it's not about overall teams. And that's why they're so low because like there are certain players that are just going to get gapped by like their counterparts in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Fair enough. Stubby, go ahead. Sorry for
Yeah,
interrupting
so
you.
no, you're good. So I want to like chime in on the Lotus White thing. So like I know you've probably seen I think Alucard, Necrox, and Fire Streaks before playing like amateur leagues. Now the issue with me like having them ranked pretty high early is three of them are coming off gold leagues and moving up to plat leagues. So I mean they're solid players, but can they really hang with plat one, plat two players? Maybe some players have hit diamond, and I guess be comfortable always, I guess, technically playing against better players. But in terms of Lotus Black, I think they have more experience. That's why, personally, I'd rank them higher. I think even though last week you guys were playing on like the second day of the patch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean like last week was like such a wild card, anyways. So I think that CB Rush. I don't even know what's with this team, but any goddamn league they join, they're like top four. Cause I don't know, Rutledge I don't even know where he gets these players,
You
but he
would you like me to explain? I
Yeah,
actually have a
actually, I would
perfect
like I
analysis for
would
this.
like to
All
know
right.
what the magic comes from.
Okay, so the magic is called money, right? And because of
Okay.
Rutledge's
Team Liquid
no, no, no,
incoming.
no, no, no. Okay, so think about it like this. Okay, Rutledge is a staunch capitalist. Okay, and think of CB Rush as a team of independent contractors, right? So like he takes the best players and like says to them like, "Yo, you're gonna be playing with this good player and this good player, and we're just gonna win and get free money." And it's like that's just the approach. And it's like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to play with like coffee, right? To win a free league, you know what I mean? Shut up.
Yeah.
Or like, why wouldn't that's just how it is, right?
Yeah.
And then you just make money, and that's how he wins these leagues. Do I think that CB Rush has an identity? I think they had an identity. I think you might not see these players go into the next league together. Just to be quite honest.
yeah,
Okay.
throughout like the last year, CB Rush's lineup, it's kind of different for every league. I think the three core players that I saw were always Rutledge, Frosty for the last year, and Acid. So I mean, I guess they lost two of those, and Rutledge is back with four other players this time around, as you said, independent contractors. So he does it, and he does it well, and I mean he surrounds himself with good players. So I mean you gotta respect that, and I think Rutledge probably deserves his own respect in plat leagues at least at this point. Always competing. But dude, I had another question.
Hmm.
Um, so the Dare, I think Dare Scarlet, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the one that's in Lotus.
I'm sure you're super
Oh my
aware of
god.
who their support is. If you wanna
Oh yeah, no, I'm
chime in
very
on that.
familiar.
So
Yeah.
so could you like talk me through like what happened there? How come you guys are on different teams? I'm just
um. Well, it ended up being that Cobalt can't compete in Lotus because my players are a little too high ranked.
Mhm.
Um, specifically by AD carry, or in this case now my mid laner. We swapped roles again because I can't ever stay in one role for
Oh
too long.
yeah. We're gonna get to that.
Uh, and then yeah, we weren't gonna play in Lotus. We decided that we wanted to finish PRL because we're currently in PRL, and the Scarlet team came about when Coconuts approached me and asked I want to be on a team. And I said, well, I'm currently on one. And we're gonna go back, but another leak is we're hostiles coming back to meta shift. And I said, well, there's gonna be a couple months before that, so if you want to join a different team, there's recruiting, and that's how it came about. And yeah,
So for
that's why I shot a different team.
anyone who's confused on the context here, we're referring to your fiance, correct?
That's true. Yeah.
So you guys are playing on different teams in the Lotus League against each other.
Yeah, that's funny. And we play side by side because
Oh.
we're set up right here. So
Oh
the
my
comms get really
God.
messed up on Thursdays. Let me tell you.
Yeah. So, oh God. Okay. Well, I mean that has to be some fun competitive banter and stuff involved with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think my contract in CB Rush also says that if we were to play against Dare in playoffs, that I will not play. So
Okay. No screen peeking going on? No split
yeah,
screen?
no, I just think I shouldn't eliminate my own team.
Yeah.
Who actually I'm contracted to for real. Contracted.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, well, you did talk about your habit to maybe swap roles a little bit more than you would like. You want to elaborate a little bit on what fuels you to branch out, try different champs, try different roles?
Um, when I started playing the game, I was really, really, really bad. I was terrible. I'm still pretty bad, but there was a period where I wasn't. And during that time where I was really bad at the game, I used to play different roles. So I always attributed myself to being hard stuck in one role and then being really good at another. And when I first came about the amateur scene, I was a jungler. I just had swapped from mid, which is the role that I was originally tied to. So I went from mid to jungle to top. No, wait, mid jungle, top, mid, top, and now AD carry.
Okay.
Yeah. So not support, not
We
definitely
just
not
got to
going
get the
there.
support role to mark off the
N-
bingo here.
Yeah. The reason why is it's just because the metas become really really stale in some roles
Yeah.
and become really annoying to play. Jungle especially because it's ever changing, right? So it's why would I want to play a role that Riot doesn't really care about and puts most of the winnings on, right? So obviously jungle's the most OP role in the game. So it's why would I want to play a role where if I get gapped, it's my fault. The whole
Yeah.
game is my fault. And then for top lane, it's sometimes top lane is useless and sometimes top lane is OP, and it's I enjoy it when it's pretty good and I don't enjoy it when it's bad.
Yeah.
So I tend not to want to go to that role. And then for AD, I just think ADs are just super overtuned. I think that playing AD carry is in comp is just so much fun because you're at 3 items, you're the strongest player on your team, and if you're actually the strongest player, then you end up winning. So yeah,
Fair enough.
there it is.
I think you dropped a little bit of a hot take when you said that AD carries are overtuned, maybe, and when AD carries get 3 items, they're the strongest in the game. But I've seen a lot of 1 item Macaulay's kind of go ahead and thrash a 3 item ADC. So
Yeah,
I do agree with your take that in competitive, AD carry is a lot better to play, and you can kind of have more reliant help from your team, and you can kind of actually play the role that AD carry is meant to play in League. So that does help, but yeah, a little bit of a hot take as far as the AD carry power.
no, I've been spamming AD carry in solo queue because I actually want to fit in the role, right? Because I'm playing on 2 different teams AD carry now, and it's pain. It's literal fucking
Yeah.
pain. You hop into solo queue, it's literal pain. It's Sona support, Senna support, Ashe support. It's where my goddamn
Yeah.
Nautilus or
Where's my
Leona for
Leona
once in my
at
life,
for
man?
real?
Please. It's it's the worst possible thing. It's the enemy team has a 3,000 game thresh
Oh
one trick,
yeah.
and mine can't
My
breathe level fucking
Janna.
2. Yeah, my Sona can't lane. What is going on, man?
Okay, kind of bouncing off that, what are your thoughts on the current power of the different roles inside of the meta at the moment? because I know you said like jungle is the most OP role in the game, which I think most people would agree to, besides maybe jungle mains last season. Jungle was kind of just
No, it was pretty bad last season. I
yeah,
agree with
it
him.
dictated a lot of the game, especially in competitive. What do you think right now? There is a lot up in the air because of preseason and changes coming in and going and everything, but if you had to rank the power levels of each role, where do you think you would put them?
This is actually a huge debate. I actually wrote like a slight thesis on this when I was
Okay.
arguing with someone. I said that that it was always there's a most impactful and then there's a most important role in the game. So I think there's a distinct difference between those two, right? So the most impactful roles is and the most important is still jungle. So jungle
Okay.
at one for both, yeah. And then for most important role, it's AD carry at 2, and then it's support at 3, mid at 4, top at 5. As for importance, for impact, it's jungle, support, mid, AD, top. I think I think top is top is not impactful and not important at all. But
Yikes.
this season, I think no, actually, I will say that I think
Symphonic,
top lane is
you want to rebut that?
No, please go
Okay,
ahead.
but I will say top lane is OP. I actually think top lane is OP because okay,
Camille?
this like specific role. Yes, yes. The specific role has way too many good fucking champs.
Yeah,
Like
that
it
is
has
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's it. That's all the role is. It's like you condense OP champions into one role and name it top lane. It's like what's the most
Yeah.
OP jungler you could think of? Send him top lane. He's like
True.
yeah, it's like it doesn't matter.
Send Graves
He's just
top.
more
Give him
goblin.
lifesteal.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Or in this case, like you said Camille, right? Like
Yeah.
or think of like I actually think tanks are super broken right now, personally. I think like Ornn is OP. I think Ornn is like ZZ tier, like
Okay.
super OP tier.
I actually
So
haven't seen a lot of that, but
if you think that if you lock in Orin and the enemy team locks in like some garbage like Gwen, like you just won the roulette. Like you made top lane a useful role. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole point of top lane, and that's why I liked it at some points where I could like pick a useful champion and still be more useful because I'm the better player. But um, it just feels like that's not the case at the very moment for me. So that's why I swapped out of top lane.
okay. Stubby, Zim, either you have any opinions on what Nuffies has laid out here for us as far as the powers of the roles and
In
importance?
in regards to top lane being the least important, I agree. But top lane is literally I lose brain cells because there are way too many matchups that you need to know, and like you can go down. Like if you get frozen on and you get ganked once and you die, you're
Yeah.
like 0-1 and down 40 CS like 10 minutes in the game, and like you're just there like stressing out, dude. Like top lane is really, I guess, really annoying to play. But I know Nuffy's like you. When I saw you playing top, I think it was like last year. You always played like Volibear. You also like you played Vayne top in the finals against your mid laner right now, Rutledge. So,
Yeah.
so do you want to maybe talk about that pick a bit? Like, how come was it just a ballsy pick, or you just thought maybe you're just better?
Um, yeah, I'm just an LS fanboy, and he said Vayne top is OP.
Okay, fair enough. I do
No,
recall
no,
you playing Soraka mid against me, so everything is starting to line up.
yeah, no, but I actually think, yeah, I agree that top lane is the second hardest role in the game. I think it is the second hardest role because, like, if you make one mistake, you get punished. Like, you get punished really hard for it. And the reason why I played like Vayne and Yasuo into Rutledge is because like it was just I mean his Shampoo gets countered by Yasuo by Vayne. Like there's nothing I can't really blind into him. Like in terms of like think about it like this. If I just take my mid lane pool and shove it top lane into
Yeah.
most top laners, I pretty much win every time, right? They
Yeah.
don't really know how to respond to that. Like they're not gonna slam Camille into my face and 1v1 me every time if it's banned.
Yeah.
It's like if someone like whips out Victor top right now with first strike.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
which I think
Yeah.
is S tier by the
I
way.
would sit there and cry. I
100%.
would literally cry because then I'm playing a tank and you're playing a poke champion, just shoves, and I'm not
You
getting
get
any ganks.
Queen, Queen Mythic to give you that extra
75%
protection.
what do you get? I think it's 75% damage reduction, right?
I don't know the
That
exact
that needs
numbers.
a nerf. All right, let's start
It's
with
Yeah.
pretty
that. That needs a
crazy.
nerf. But
So yeah, you finish up your thought there.
no, you're good. You're good. You can go
Okay.
ahead. I'm done.
I was just gonna say, speaking of the preseason item changes, and Nuffies mentioned the Ornn into Gwen matchup a little bit earlier. One of the biggest changes right now that I think we're seeing a massive impact in preseason is lethal tempo being heavily abused on some champions, like Yone, like Gwen, from what I've heard. I haven't done it myself yet, so I'm not too sure, but Yone, Gwen, even some ADCs like Jinx, who can kind of stack it up and abuse it. What are your thoughts on lethal tempo at the moment, Nuffies? And then we'll go to Stubbins and
Yeah, just use it on every AD carry. I
okay.
locked in Ezreal against Civil and used lethal tempo. I don't think if anyone noticed that. Yeah, Rune's just fucking insane, bro. I don't know what to tell you. I just like it makes like champions that like um get punished for having a bad auto range, like not punished. Like I use it on
Yeah.
Vayne, I use it on Ezreal, like I use it on champions that don't even like necessarily need it. But yeah, I've been spamming that Rune. Probably one of the main reasons why I switched, to be honest. I was looking at it, and the one thing I'm really good at is positioning. So like, if you ever want to know what my strengths are as a player, it's just late game. Like it's just late game team fight positioning. It's almost superfluous, right? So like, if I pick Vayne late game and I have 4 items, I'm always gonna win you the game, no matter what. So like, lethal tempo like basically makes my job easier. So yeah, I think the rune's broken. I think Chemsoul is broken too. Okay.
Oh
Gross.
yeah, Chemsoul. We can yeah. Stubby Zim, do you guys have any opinions on lethal tempo or champions maybe that we aren't seeing as much that it might be really good on?
Uh, so I actually tried out the Gwen lethal tempo, and it was kind of disgusting because instead of you usually go Nash's Tooth second after Riftmaker on Gwen top, I just skipped it. You know, you proc your lethal tempo, you have a shit ton of attack speed, and then I just rush more like a tanky build. I think that uh was it Rune uh needs a nerf 100% because if I can skip a whole item that gives me attack speed and just run that Rune, then I think
Yeah.
that's an issue, especially with Gwen and like with tanks also coming into more meta and Gwen being a pretty decent tank shredder.
Hmm.
I think Gwen could maybe be a top laner that maybe you can maybe look out for in the upcoming um, maybe weeks or games. But yeah, I think we'll that's it for me. We'll take it on to Zim if you have any thoughts
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, lethal tempo. It just sees the resurgence of hyper carry bot laners, right? It's the idea. If, like Nuffy said, I can't echo that enough. If you have solid positioning, you should win your team the game, especially now with lethal tempo. Like it's, what you're hitting are going to be usually your front line, the tanks, everything. If you're even creating a further distance and you're able to burn through that without putting yourself in a position of in a bad position or putting yourself in a way where they can engage on you, then what else do you want, right? Things of you are still seeing some utility AD carries. You're still seeing the Jhin, the Ashe, who could still make use of similar runes or similar builds. But it's the idea of right now that's the idea of why tanks are becoming more prominent, right? You want that strong front line right now. That when you get that when you get that hyper carry bot lane meta, you start shifting more towards a support jungle top tank meta. It's the idea of like, let me create this front line so that my AD carry can just free hit. I think it goes hand in hand with what Nuffy said. AD carry being the strongest and potentially most impactful role right now, just because of a rune. Granted, there's some item changes that have made a couple other champions a little stronger as well, but it's kind of one of those big changes that really just shifts the meta right now, and I think that's kind of I hope it's only the start of what we're going to start seeing in this preseason. I feel like there's an insane of many other things that could be taken advantage of. Chemsoul was one of the biggest things. We're talking about new things that are being added. Victor Top, things like that. First Strike. We're going to start seeing a lot more innovation, but I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, and I think this is what we're going to start seeing teams use before they find potentially the even more broken stuff.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And maybe this is finally some of the power shifting back towards ADCs that ADC players have been, I want to say complaining for, but definitely putting their input in for the lack of power in the ADC role the past season. So maybe we'll see, like you said, the hyper carries kind of rise back to the top here for ADCs. I'm going to go to you, Nuffies, here as we wrap it up. Anything you want to say? Any final thoughts? Anything at all? Feel free.
No, I don't have any more final thoughts. I think
Okay.
said enough. Yep.
All right. Well, Thank you for coming here to Lotus Rewind episode 1, and hopefully we see CB Rush put on quite the performance here in the Lotus League.
Yep, we will do our best to win and get Rutledge's money because he's Mr. Moneybag Monopoly.
Yeah, all right. Welcome back to the analyst desk here, joined by once again Stubby and Symphonic. We're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about some of these preseason changes that has been riddling everyone's games here. If those of you who are brave enough to continue to play solo queue in the preseason, I don't know if I would count myself among those, but First Strike, new rune that they added in, kind of gives you like a kleptomancy type of feel, in a way, like kind of like the niche gold income rune. So I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts, Symphonic, first. What are your thoughts on First Strike as a whole right now?
Yeah, I mean, when First Strike was first introduced, I think, or even just brought up, I think many thought it was just going to be, like you said, kind of like a kleptomancy rule. And, people are like, oh, immediately, Ezreal, gangplank, things that took advantage of that kleptomancy and why it was so prominent to bring things like that back. But I think as people started figuring out, it's like, hey, yes, it's the idea of not being able to, it's kleptomancy, but with a bit of a twist, right? It's like the idea of you can't be hit. Or it's just, when you have to proc it, when it's up, you want to try to get that proc without getting traded on beforehand. So it takes a lot of consideration into positioning. And I think into those matchups where you have an innate range advantage, and a champion can benefit from a big burst damage, I think it's important. We're seeing that right now in the top lane a lot with Victor. The idea of being able to play Victor into now this newly more prominent tank meta. You're seeing it into things like, maybe like a Scion, the Mundo, the Ornn, things that are becoming really popular. You pick the scaling champion that's going to benefit from hitting that first attack, getting that quick burst, getting that gold influx, and scaling faster in a safe lane. So being able to take advantage of that rune in a lane where you will not get punished for taking a non-offensive rune, I think is really important. It's the safety that you need, and without having that main tree be something like Resolve or Precision or the red tree, whatever it is, it's just that idea, right? It's you want to be in a lane that you can abuse it to just amp up that scaling, get to those items faster, and impact the game. And I think that's why we're seeing it on certain champions like that. Victor being the biggest one. A couple other champions I'm sure are going to be able to take advantage of it as soon as people find other champions that are benefiting also from some of the item changes as well. But I still feel like it's getting a little bit more overlooked just because of how strong something like Lethal Tempo still is, which we kind of talked a little bit about with Nuffies. But I think if Lethal Tempo were to get nerfed, we'll probably start seeing more First Strike, even in the bot lane or even on other these champions that have been able to abuse it in other lanes.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Stubby, what are your thoughts on First Strike?
So my initial thoughts were that, mm, I guess like as a top laner myself and someone who likes tanks a lot, having to see Victor top is not going to be fun. But like honestly, like changes like this to the game are like, in my way of thinking, is healthy for the game because you're suddenly seeing champions that haven't been played for like a whole year, rise up in the meta, and like it's not the same boring. It's not boring. It's something new. It's something fun, I guess. Just not seeing the same stuff over and over again. I think I played like a normal game on Corki like 3 days ago, and by the end of the game, I think First Strike got me like 1,500 gold, which is, I mean, dude, for a scaling
Yeah.
champion, 1,500 gold throughout the game is a lot. That is, I think, absolutely like disgusting. Will Riot nerf it? Probably. As a top laner, I want it to be nerfed. I still have to test it more, but again, it spices up the game. It puts those champions that were left behind maybe last season back in meta. So it's fun as a player and as a comp player myself. It's fun to see new champions being brought into the meta, and yeah, those are just my overall opinions on, I guess, the ruin in preseason so far.
I'm actually glad that you brought up Corki too, because I played quite a few Corki games actually recently with First Strike just because it sounded good in my head. And I do think that Corki is a really slept on champion in general. Like, the laning phase is good. You have decent wave clear. You can get away a lot from ganks with your W. Package is an absolute game warping ability around objectives mid game that can offer some of the teams that maybe don't have the best synergy quite yet early on in the season. The package just adds that level of, okay, we're going to group with package around Dragon, and it's going to just make our life so much easier playing into those mid game objectives. But yeah, Corki definitely something to look out for with First Strike. I also saw a Rengar go First Strike that and absolutely popped off. I'm not too sold on the Rengar First Strike, but mixed with the Axiom Arc new item that they added for assassins, who knows what we're gonna see? And I think that does bring a lot of excitement. Like you said, Stubby, it's refreshing for the community to have new metas and new champions pop up that haven't been as prevalent as others. And I definitely think First Strike as Rune brings that. So excited to see what forms in the preseason was with First Strike. But another item we could talk about is Axiom Arc, the lethality item that they added for assassins that when everyone read it at first, it was like, oh my god, this item is the most disgusting thing that they're adding into the game. You get 25% off of your ultimate cooldown. And while I do think that it is absolutely disgusting on some specific champions like Nocturne or Kane, Kiana, I'm not sold on personally.
Okay.
But the reason is like the champions like Nocturne and Kane who are just super super reliant on their ultis to be up to get the full effect out of their kit. I think really benefit from Axiom Arc. My only issue with champions like Kiana and Zed and some of the other like more standard assassins is that in order to get your full ult cooldown refreshed, say in a mid game, late game team fight, you have to get 4 takedowns takedowns to have it fully refreshed. And by the time you get 4 takedowns in a team fight, there's only one person left. Odds are you're not going to need your ulti again for a second use in the same team fight. So I do think that maybe it's not as OP as some people think. It's more of like a niche item for assassins. But in the hands of the champions that abuse it, it's really, really disgusting. So, Symphonic, what do you think about Axiom Arc?
Yeah, I mean, I think Axiom Arc is getting overshadowed a lot right now, just with how some other things are just being easily abused. Kind of what I talked about when we talked with Nuffies was that a lot of the easier to abuse things are being noticed right now, and it's overshadowing a lot of the other things that are going to come into light once people get more comfortable playing into things like Lethal Tempo or First Strike or Crown of the Ruined Queen, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Um, However, I think with the rise of hyper carries, with the rise of the squishier champions, even in the top lane, that are going to be they're trying to take advantage of this. It's kind of like rock paper scissors, right? Like you throw rock here, and it's your hyper carries. We're gonna throw paper in there, and it's gonna start being these assassins. Scissors
True.
might fit a little bit better, but yeah, it's they're gonna be these assassins that are gonna kind of come through because I mean that's kind of what you start seeing when you start seeing squishy hyper carry champions lead a team. When you start building hyper carry centric teams, you start seeing, okay, we can't go through their front line, so we have to go around it. And what better way to go around it than with an assassin? So, like you mentioned, the Nocturne taking really big advantage. You already have something that could reach that back line, so why not be able to burn through that, potentially get the refund, and be able to continue that chase later on, with the CDR that you're already getting or the lower cooldowns that you're already getting. You mentioned Zed, you mentioned Kiana. I think those champions, if they do come to meta, I think Axiom Arc is still going to be quite strong for that mid game power spike, where maybe you are trying to have that up more quickly before hitting level 16 or something to be able to have those duels in the side lanes. Because I mean, if you get something
True.
like a Zed going that's really strong, or a Kiana that thrives on having that ultimate cooldown a lot sooner, then they're going to start being that threat in the side lane that we can't match it. We need to send multiple people, and then that's going to open up the ability for the rest of the team to be on the opposite side of the map. But I think it's a slept on item. I don't think it's as overtuned as some of the other things that are going on this preseason. But I think we're going to start seeing a surge of it once people realize that, hey, assassins are the way to go right now if we want to get through these hyper carries.
I really like the fact that you bring up assassins in the side lane too, and being able to abuse the Axiom Arc in the side lane, especially. Stubby, what are your thoughts on Axiom Arc specifically?
Well, I mean, Riot recently, was it like I think 4 months ago, 5 months ago, they made it where like assassins can play jungle, like Kiana, I don't remember
Zed
the others. Like
even,
Zed, yeah,
yeah,
and Talon as well.
Talon,
So
Mhm.
yeah,
like I feel like junglers would benefit the most off of it because they usually have the most KP on the team. And wait, so when someone gets a takedown, is that an assist or a kill?
yeah.
You get
Yep.
wait, even on assists?
I believe
That's
so, right?
crazy.
Or am I just wrong?
That's
Pretty
pretty crazy.
sure.
I think you guys are right. I'm pretty sure
I'm
because
pretty
it
sure
would say
it's
kill if it wasn't.
takedown. Yeah.
Yes, takedown is assist, I guess. Okay,
Takedowns,
I
I know
guess
takedowns are assists and kills. On the item description, I'm pretty
Yep, it's
sure. Okay.
kills and assists. So a takedown is defined by kill or assist. So yeah,
Okay.
okay.
it'd be either or.
Yeah.
That's pretty disgusting. But
Yeah.
I remember I played Nocturne like in a normal game a few days ago, just like I played Gwen a few days ago. I just played too much League, I guess. But dude, I rushed that item first. And I had lethal tempo, and
Oh
it was
man.
pretty disgusting. I got my ult back in the same fight. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
it was fun. Dude, assassins are like always fun to watch. Like if I get to see like a Zed pop off, just flashy stuff. Like if I'm a viewer watching like a LPR or LGL game, and I get to watch that, and then I get to watch them have two ults in one fight. Like what the hell is this? Is
True.
this League of Legends? Yeah, dude, or is this freaking Overwatch? But I mean, again, I guess assassins are fine. I'm a top laner, so I'm not really a fan.
They're never gonna go for you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You're
My,
good.
the only thing I can do is throw Orin Qs and hopefully I hit them. But
Play Poppy.
There you go.
dude, Poppy is, I think, super
Yeah.
strong right now. I think
Yup.
Poppy needs a nerf. Poppy's base AD is
Poppy
way too high.
jungle, Poppy top, Poppy support
support.
even. Yeah, just throw it anywhere.
Poppy jungle is really good. Oh wait, Predator. Predator is so OP.
Predators take on as many champs as
OP.
you can fit it into. It's being taken. I do think it does now that lethal tempo and first strike. It's overshadowed a little bit, but once we see the meta start to like kind of form, probably closer to the end of the next season to start, we'll probably see Predator come back to being one of the most, if not the most popular rune, if they don't change it until then, because it's just so applicable to so many different champions and it's so good. But I want to keep on track of items in the preseason. Not only have assassins gotten some love, but mages have gotten a lot of love, and even some AP assassins like Akali can really abuse the new not Horizon Focus, I'm sorry. Cosmic Drive. Cosmic Drive is really, really, really good right now, especially on Akali if you haven't tried that out and you're an Akali player. But mages, we already talked about Victor a little bit earlier with First Strike. But there were a lot of not only new items with the Queen item and Shadow Flame breaking shields for mages, but they also altered older items like Cosmic Drive and Horizon Focus to proc off of slows now. So Stubby, what are your thoughts on mage items in the preseason, and do you think that we're going to start see the rise of mages again in the next upcoming
Well,
season?
last season, I feel like Riot was really favoring top laners. Like, I mean, every top laner was going what? Gore Drinker, Syrax.
Yeah.
Just the number one and number two best items to build on any bruiser, probably, any top lane bruiser. So it's like, okay, let's give some love to mid laners. So I think this season, with these changes, I mean, Riot's kind of foreshadowing that they're, bringing back the mage meta. Uh, I'm kind of interested about Akali though. Do you really think she's meta right
I
now?
think
Like, wait, what item do you go? Like, what mythic
you
do you go?
literally, well, you go Rocket Belt every time
Okay.
if you're a
Yeah.
Chad on Akali.
Okay. Okay.
But you rush Cosmic Drive, unironically. Shout out, I'm not gonna leak that actually, but a good friend of mine let me know that Akali with Cosmic Drive Rush is absolutely crazy right now. You get, I think it's 110 AP off of Cosmic Drive, and you get kind of like a phase rush passive type thing where if you proc 3 abilities in rapid succession, you get a bunch of movement speed, and it's a really crazy item. I think if more people start playing, I don't know, Akali, even just mages like Victor or Cassiopeia,
Rise. That sounds
Rise,
good on Rise, right?
it's a
Yeah.
very, very S tier item. So I think you rush Cosmic and then you go Rocket Belt into, even now you have Shadow Flame too for Akali, who's an AP assassin, easier to get more pen to break through shields. So I think AP assassins in general definitely got love from some of the items that may be overlooked, but yeah, I definitely think Akali is up there. Transitioning now into one of the final changes in preseason at the moment are the new dragons. They added Chem Tech Dragon, they added Hex Tech Dragon, and oh boy, have people been enjoying some of these souls in their games. I want to start first with Hex Tech Dragon. Symphonic, what are your thoughts on adding the portals to the map and the overall power of the dragon and the soul?
Yeah, I mean, I think the portal part I think is interesting. I think it provides a lot of mobility options for teams to kind of take abuse of, especially seeing as how some of them, you're gonna have easier access to, let's say, into the enemy jungle. If you kind of know where they are, it provides easier rotations. It's kind of what I think everybody hoped the Cloud Dragon would do with the movement speed, is that you are able to find rotations faster. I think as teams start to innovate a little bit more of how to make use of those portals or which ones to kind of, as they get more comfortable with the locations as to where what sends you where. I think it'll provide a lot of ease of movability in the map. I think that part of itself can be also a little underwhelming. I think if not used correctly, it's just like, okay, cool, like I can go from behind pit to the enemy blue side jungle or something. Like it can be underwhelming. But I think when teams that focus really strongly on macro are going to find a way of making use of it. If anything, if it seems very predictable or if it feels like it's kind of out of the way, Riot may adjust some of the portals to maybe be easier to access if you're rotating. But at least at the moment, I think if you are a macro focused team and you get a Hex Tech Dragon, if you're up against one, let's say, vision control is going to be really important, and just tracking them as they move along and keeping in mind that those portals are there so that you can react quickly enough to not just lose turret after turret or objective after objective.
Yeah, most
In terms of how,
definitely.
yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, I forget off the top of my head what each dragon does. I know it gives you a percentage buff. I just can't remember exactly what it does
I
per
think
per
Hextech is
dragon.
attack speed and
Yes, attack speed, yeah.
With
CDR.
lightning bolts, right?
That's the soul.
Yes.
That's the
The
soul.
soul,
That's
yeah.
the soul. Okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So the attack speed I think is really nice. It's different. We got flat AP and flat AD with Infernal Soul. We got the defensive with Mountain. Cloud is non-existent anymore. Who cares about Cloud anymore?
True.
So it's interesting to have Hextech at least give you those singular buffs. It's not as impactful as saying, "Hey, we may have lost a soul, but we got at least two of these Mountain Drakes to give us a little bit of a buff." It's very specific, very niche because not a lot of the champions are going to make use of 2% attack speed. That's stacking up. But even, I mean, if you get four of those and you're on a strong hyper carry that's benefiting, then I mean, it makes up a little bit of that difference of maybe not going a second attack speed item, or even a first attack speed item. If you end up going, let's say, what do you call it?
Lethal.
Lethal, yeah, lethal plus let's say two offensive items, and just maybe not building a attack speed item until third, right? It
Yeah.
kind of makes up a little bit of that difference. I think if you're able to pick up those dragon souls early, if you know that you're getting these hextech dragons, then it can alter a bit of the build.
Yeah, something that I think is an interesting perspective about the new dragons is seeing them in competitive play, not only in the Lotus League, but in pro play and in other regions like LCK or LPL and the kind of wacky stuff that we're probably going to end up seeing some of those teams do. Like you said about macro, I'd be super interested to see what those teams have in mind, what the optimal use for those are. So a lot of fun stuff to look forward to. Stubby, what do you think about the Chemtech Dragon overall?
That's the one where you get Scion passive,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
that
Oh,
one
for
scared the
sure.
shit out of me when I killed someone the first time and they had that soul. I'm like, what is going on? But I mean, it's cool. Like, it's cool, but also like, dude, it can change fights.
I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely.
Like, it
it's
can
yeah.
turn fights. Like, it's not, what, I think you get it for like what, 2 seconds?
I don't
Two
know
seconds,
that. I don't
but
know
you
the
get your
exact
like
time.
cooldown. So like, it's
Yeah.
kind of weird. It's also like apparently it's like the most buggy like dragon ever. Cause like, remember when like Silas first came out and you would steal someone's ult and it was just like what is going on?
Yeah.
Because like you would have when Silas came out, when you took Echo's ult, like you would have Echo's like trail like following you even
Mm.
after you ulted. So I mean, if Riot can work out their things, I think this is not one of the strongest souls. I think Hex Tech, where you get that slow and that lightning damage, like static shiv damage, that one is disgusting, dude. Especially on 80 carries, like you can kite for days. Like I'm crying if I'm a tank player playing against that soul, literally crying. So I guess
So
those are my thoughts. I haven't really played much
yeah.
soul games because like I mean games do go longer kind of because of bounties now and like people throw, but yeah, I haven't played that much, so I guess we'll have to watch the games this week and maybe one team gets soul. We'll see how it
Some
goes.
something that I saw online that I thought was actually super interesting that I wish I would have saved for this is it was a graphic of the win rate of Dragon Souls on the current patch, and most of the Dragon Souls were sitting about like 70%. The bottom two were actually Infernal and Cloud tied, and I think they had like a 69% win rate, and then it went to like Mountain Ocean with like a 71%. Hextech had a 72%, and then Chemtech had a 91% win rate.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
Jeez.
clearly the Dragon Soul is not okay in its current state, just being able to respawn with cooldowns. And I mean, the stats speak for themselves. Like having a 91% win rate when all other souls are like 70 is just clearly there's something going on here. But oh man, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. Good luck to all the players out there trying to adapt in preseason, playing in a competitive league. That is another beast in itself. But we are going to go over to the LPL power rankings and players of the week now. Symphonic, what do you have for us?
Let's take some hot takes.
Yeah.
For the one of few not so hot takes, CB Rush top of the leaderboard. I mean, they arguably were potentially in their hardest matchup of the season. Potentially, I mean, they were up against a Mega Runeterra. Mega Runeterra and CB Rush shared the 1 and 2 spot in the preseason power rankings. So I mean, definitely a tough match. However, I mean, CB Rush did close it out 2-0. So it is definitely a strong showing for CB Rush into potentially their hardest matchup. Coming in number 2, we got Catalyst Wraith. Catalyst Wraith was already a high contender for being a very strong team. They had a very strong showing. Granted, against OK Infinite. Definitely a more middle of the pack team compared just to power rankings, but they had a very dominant performance, and I think you can kind of tell even just based on Player of the Week that they had a good performance. Where things start shifting a little bit, we got Cape Dogs Unchained. They had a fantastic game set series against TA Super Cuties last week. Definitely a matchup that I thought was more TA Super Cutie favorite, just based on the players that I know and how they've performed in the past. But I mean, Unchained definitely came unchained, and they kind of came out and did what they needed to do. And they took a good matchup and really bumped them up, at least in my power ranking, saying, hey, I mean, if they can take down a team that I've know of players, then let's see what else they can do. Let's see how else they kind of match up. Omega Runeterra hitting at number 4. They definitely dropped a bit. I mean, they lost their hardest matchups. They're not necessarily going to go all the way down just for losing a game, but it unfortunately was not insanely close. So that in itself just kind of says a lot. Hopefully they can bounce back and really kind of go up, see what they can do in this upcoming week. Cape Dog Valor coming in at number 5. They had another solid showing. They had some good. They had another great 2-0 series. Definitely showed some dominance, and I mean they were in the power rankings in the preseason, and they're definitely showing that they are here to play against these teams. TA Super Cutie sitting at number 6. They went down as well. They lost again. I think a more winnable matchup. I think they had, at least in my idea, favorable of the matchup to win. But I kind of want to see how they bounce back. There's a lot of veteran players on that team that have been in a lot of different leagues, a lot of different teams. So it's kind of maybe figuring out the formula, the winning formula of how these players can come together and really kind of show up. 7 and 8, there's definitely a big change. We got Lotus Black in 7th. They had a really strong showing again this week as well, taking down Dare. And it just looked really good. And I mean, they are a team, I think, that based off of their previous what they've done in previous leagues, I think they're a team they definitely are slept on, and just their good showing this last week kind of says a lot. And then finally the dark horse, which I think is kind of maybe what some teams didn't expect. I got CWRU Crescent Guard, or Green, I think is also what they kind of go with. um they they popped off, for lack of a better term. They did really well in week 1. And I think just kind of the way they played, the stats don't even lie, just kind of what they did. I think they're a team that we should be looking out for. And that's why I'm putting them in the number 8 spot above some of the other teams that potentially either lost their games or maybe didn't have as dominant games. So I think these upcoming weeks will really show if maybe this week 1 was a fluke for them, or if they really do deserve to be in these power rankings, and maybe even higher. Players of the week, top lane, I got Crits. Definitely the only top laner that came out in the top 20 of our MVP power rankings, or at least in stats. So definitely a notable top laner on Lotus White. Definitely provided a lot for the team. I mean, he was, a 5-3 and 24 on Trundle, 10, 6 and 7 on Aurelia against AoE God Squad. He definitely did fairly well into his lane opponent. And even just stat wise, on assist wise, he was there. He had a lot of kill participation, which means he was very comfortable being part of the team fights and kind of helping lead that team to a win. In the jungle, I got Shady Gecko from Callus Wraith. He has really strong objective control, really strong jungle participation as well in terms of kill participation. 8-0 and 7 on Hecarim, 1-2 and 10 on Sejuani against OK Infinite. Another clean 2-0 series. And if you take a look again at stats, very little objectives were giving up. And if anything, I think it was only, I don't even think the enemy team got one dragon. So it's just that idea of having that objective control. And they definitely got the soul both games. So it's about that dominant objective control. And I think Shady Gecko is someone who really shows that, just at least based on game one, or I'm sorry, week one. Granted, things can change coming up, but strong domination as well. In the mid lane, we got King Yeetloaf from Cape Dogs Unchained. Again, a really strong matchup for Cape Dogs Unchained into TA Super Cuties. It was a 3-game series, but in the game 1 and 3, which were the games that Cape Dogs did win, it was really, I want to say, not necessarily only on Yeetloaf's back, but definitely on his game presence and the difference that he made compared to his mid lane opponent. And I think when he pops off, the rest of the team kind of follows suit. So I think he is a very dominant force for his team. In the AD role, we got Confounder from Cape Dogs Valor. Really strong showing. If I'd say that Yeetloaf isn't necessarily the only carry for the team, for me, Confounder is probably the carry for team Cape Dogs Valor. Like, if you can get him going, I think he really pops off. And granted, there's a lot of other 80 carries that definitely could have made the list. Our guests included, Nuffies. I mean, he definitely could have made the list, and I'm sure you might not be too happy to see that. But Confounder definitely proved himself to me. It really showed up this week one. And then lastly, from Lotus Black, we got Kraydog. Top support in terms of highest assists per game and vision control per game. He went 1-3-19 on Lulu and 0-5 and 30 on Lulu in game 1 and 3. Those are the big impactful games. And I think he can, if he keeps this up and helps kind of guide his team into into the next couple weeks, I think he's a really strong player for Team Lotus Black. Very last thing I like to point out, players to watch for these upcoming weeks. In the jungler, Brickburner, we talked about CWRU. I think he's a really dominant force. Another one of those junglers who is very objective focused, very jungle participation or KP participation focused. He has some strong pressure, and I kind of want to see how he does against CB Rush this week. That is their matchup. That is the one that I'm pretty excited for to also watch for. Is my 8th place team versus the 1st place team. Let's see what this
Yeah.
week one can really do for CWRU. And then first, for my other player of the week to watch, or player to watch out for, Mitt, support for CB Rush. So on the other side, Mitt had a very strong showing in week one against a Mega Runeterra. Might have been a little overshadowed or, just overlooked due to how well his entire team did. But, I'm told he had a really great Nami game. I didn't get to watch their game personally, but just kind of looking into, how he's impacting his team just in the support role itself, I feel like we should be paying attention to that bot lane. It's not just going to be the Nuffy show. It's also, what else his teammates bring on for him. Um, but yeah, I think that's kind of it for LP. Actually, I'm sorry, games to watch. Let me bring that up. Last one. Um, Show match of this week is Callus Wraith versus Cape Dogs Valor. I mean, that's going to be what we're going to be seeing on Thursday this week. I think it's going to be a really good matchup to see kind of how these two teams stack up. 2nd place versus 5th place in my power rankings. Let's kind of see how these power rankings really shuffle up. And then match that I kind of want to keep my eye on is DZG versus Dare. These two middle of the pack teams kind of get to see what they're really made out of. Neither one of these teams made the power rankings, but I'm sure they really want to prove themselves and kind of really see what they've got going. So kind of a couple games to keep an eye out for.
Awesome. I really like seeing teams like CWRU come in as underdogs and maybe upset a few teams, maybe climb the ranks a little bit higher here in the power rankings. But that's going to be it for week 1 of the LPL. Now, I want to toss it over to the LGL. Stubby, what do you got for us?
All right. Well, first place. So let's start with the power rankings for
Yeah.
LGL, Lotus Gardenia League. TA Spirit. I think for preseason rankings, we ranked them number 1. I think for a clear reason. Um, from I think top to bottom, they're really good, and I think they deserve it. I think 3 of them have been playing together in Runeterra as well before, so they have a lot of synergy. And then they got Stone Made Soft, who played on I think Lotus White before. So excited to see them, hold their maybe number 1 spot or maybe get upset this week. We'll see how it goes. In the number 2 spot, I got Imperial Gaming, a team that made it to the BOL finals, and they're actually a really solid core of players. I think I actually personally scrimmed them once because I do play on my own gold team, and they're really good. Like, I was actually pretty impressed. They are missing one player that they usually don't usually play with, but they're not playing in LGL. So we can see if they can fill the hole there. Next team, Goon Squad Gaming. Um, Another team I think that's the core has been playing together for a while now. Goon Squad Gaming is actually going against Conduit Esports this week. Conduit did fall last week, so this is one of the series that I want to look out for personally this week, which is GSG versus Conduit. See how that goes. And next up, we have Clown Gaming, the infamous Batman. I think Batman is so funny, man. Batman just goes into chat and just says I'm the best, pick me up, and then a few teams drop out, and Batman gets a spot back on his original team, and dude, that team dominated week one. So I mean, Batman lived up to his name at least week one. Let's see if he can do it week two. And then the next two spots we have both New Wave teams, Paradox and just New Wave Esports. They played really well. I got to watch. I think it was the Paradox series, and they looked really strong as a whole, from top to bottom. So I think both New Wave teams are looking strong to hold their spots in the top eight come week two. And in the seventh position, we have Aegis Esports, another team that dominated last week, and they're seventh right now. But I think they can easily climb to maybe 3 or 4. Um, I'm not too familiar with the players, but I mean, I hope they have a good showing. And then lastly, number 8, we have Genesis Academy. Um, Genesis Academy, I think, is facing Fiendish Codex this week. Fiendish Codex with a roster change. So I think if they can, do well this week, they can cement themselves another spot in the, top 8 of week 2. And kind of excited to see how they do. Moving on though, Player of the Week. Um, we're gonna go from top to support. In the top lane, Season 10 Survivor for Goon Squad Gaming had some monster performances. 7-2-5 on Aatrox, 9-1 and 11 on Jace. I,
Jeez.
yeah, I'm curious to see if he went first strike on Jace because I heard it was actually pretty good on Jace. I didn't really check that out, but again, guys, we were playing on the first day of the patch,
Yeah.
and when I went to play a game, I was getting a headache thinking of what I'm building. So dude, bravo to all these players and these 5 players for making the player of the week. They played absolutely fantastic. Next up, I think Caxi, one of the strongest junglers in LGL for sure. I know Caxi from other leagues, and Caxi also played mid in I think Runeterra and was up there in one of the better mids. When you can play multiple roles, I think you have a much better understanding of the game, and I think that's what kind of makes Caxi a better jungler than maybe his counterparts, is that he can understand the point of view of more than one lane, which is very important. Next up, another Goon Squad Gaming member, Dauber, uh, a player that I've actually scrimmed against. I think Dauber is top three, top 4 for mid laners in this league. Has a large champion pool, and he had some really good performances. Next up, another TA member, Jason Crypt 5. And Jason Script 724 on MF, 1009 on Zaya.
Oh
I know
my
Jason Crypt
god.
5 and his support Kobita. I think Kobita is a very good recon, and they do like to run that duo. And I mean, 10-0 and 9. TA had a really good game, and yeah, Caxi and Jason Script. There's a clear reason why they're here. And then for support, we got Beat Monkey Cheeks. Very nice name. Played 2 games of a Mumu, 4-1, 17, 2-3,
A
12.
moo.
Yeah, Amumu support. Even after it got nerfed, I mean, he played really
Okay.
well. 4-1-17 on Amumu on support is really good. He had 4 deaths as a support across two games.
Yeah.
So I'd probably die 10 plus times. So I don't really know. Maybe this guy's just built different. But those are your players of the week. So there were some players that didn't make player of the week, and I thought maybe I'd shout them out. So I have 2 players to kind of watch out for. First one is CB Dust. So this team actually, I think, changed 3 players on their roster. I don't know what happened with that team. I don't know what's happening internally. I guess they just made roster changes, but they subbed in Chitin for Midland. I think Chitin played game 2 of that series, and yeah, Chitin was 1v5ing while his teammates were crying in the background. So he was 7-5 and Yona. I think all of his teammates were 0-4. It was kind of tragic. He was trying. But I think this player, I mean, their name in the league is literally 6 chips. Has won 6 leagues. So they're good. And I've played against Chitin multiple times, and he always plays well. He always shows up. And the scariest thing about this player is that he has a large champion pool. It reminds me of you, JVL.
Oh,
If you try
stop.
if you try to triple ban JVL, it doesn't matter because you're gonna whip out something else, right? Like
True.
it's hard. It's hard. But I mean, if you're Chitin's teammate and you have a large champion pool like that, and then as like someone who drafts or as someone who wants a good teammate, having a large pool is always good. My next player to watch out for is Kappa Crusader. I think right behind Caxi is one of the strongest junglers in the Gardenia League. Two absolute monster stat lines. He went 5-0-6 on Hecarim and 15, 3, and 12 on Poppy jungle.
I
He has a place in
mean,
my heart for playing Poppy. Okay, let's just say that.
and he has a place, let's just say, not in my heart for playing Poppy.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Kappa Crusader, and Chitin, I think the two players to look out for. They didn't make the player of the week because I think Caxi and Dauber just had better performances that week. But I think these are players that can crack the player of the week. Come maybe every week. I think they're capable of that. And yeah, so good luck to all the Gardenia teams playing this week. I hope people got the items sorted out because I still don't got it sorted out. But I'll take it back to JVL.
Thank you, Stubby, for that amazing analysis of the Gardenia League Week 1 and Symphonic for the LPL Week 1. We're going to go over to the weekly highlight video now with some of the clips from the previous week.
I can feel the power, I can feel the power. Feel the power. Yeah, money that is time and hour. Yeah, I better activate the power. I'ma activate it, gotta make it, gotta chase it. I don't care what they be saying, I'ma do it now. And I've been really saving, I ain't giving up and I ain't giving in. Do it now for the dividends, I'll be on the path, I just gotta get it. Cause I got my mind on some bigger things. So man, I ain't gonna give in now, I just gotta live this now. I be gonna be man, I'ma kill this stuff real quick. I'ma go take it to town, cause I gotta be that king in the ring. When I'm knocking them out, when I'm back with the wheel. Cause I am just up on the journey, just know that I'm just going insane. There's some things that I might see, and when I do, I could never get no sleep. Cause I just need to get it, man, I need to be the thing that I just painted out, man, you will go see. See my vision, I'll be in it, I'ma kill it, I'ma take it all. Coming in, I'ma play it now, I'ma kill him dog, I'ma play the ball. Cause I gotta go and get it, man, I really just need it. Tell these guys that they can beat it, I'ma give it, I'ma grab it, man. Take it, never receive it, I'ma make it mine. I'm explosive like a mine, I've been working every time, yeah, I do it on the grind. I'ma shine, yeah, every single day. I'ma kill this competition cause I'm going so insane. Yeah, I really go by someone saying, yeah, I guess really ran through the pain, but I'm just back on my path and I fixed it, now it's really all okay. So I ain't gonna waste, yeah, my chance and just my time. So I'ma be a monster, I'ma kill him, this is mine, yeah, yeah.
Wow, what a bunch of highlights we got here from week 1. First, I want to toss it over to Symphonic. Any clips there that stood out to you, or?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we'll work our way back. I mean, with that the ending here with Caxi with that Sejuani ulti. I mean, that
Oh,
wasn't even
man.
his only one of those that he had. I mean, that was beautiful, just a prediction, right? But I mean, and granted, I got to cast that game, last 2 weeks ago. So seeing him do that one time was already great on the flash predict. But then the second time near the end of the game, where he also ends the game off of catching the Jinx. I mean, Caxi was on fire. There's a reason why he's, player of the week in the jungle for week 1. I mean, he is a very strong jungler, and that experience, I mean, it shows just in his play, just on Sejuani ultis alone. But I mean, man, it's the crazy stuff that you're gonna want to have to look out for with someone like him.
Yeah, the predict was so nasty. I wish I would have got to seen the entire game and see what else he could put on, but clearly he puts on a show in that jungle. Stubby, any clips that stood out to you?
The first clip. First of all, why is there a Syndra ADC on my screen? Okay, but I mean that was a really good clip. Syndra got, I think, the experience at the very last second, got 6 and got that quadra kill.
Yep.
So I mean, huge Cinder plays. Also, shout out to Necrox for that huge dunk and one in that Dragon
Yeah.
Steel. That was kind of hype. And dude, that CB Rush versus Omega fight, I
Oh
thought Acid
yeah.
was playing that so well, and then Nuffies with the I think he buffered the Tristana
He,
R.
he buster shot the Kane back through the wall as he was coming over to assassinate him. What I want to point out about that team fight clip is that early on in the season, it's hard to distinguish the synergies between different teams, and a lot of it is player centric, and like this Caxia, right, on the Sejuani popping off there with the predicts, and those are a lot of the plays that we see. But that team fight, I think, showed why CBR are, or yeah, CBR are one of, if not the top team in that league, because the better teams are going to have the better team fight synergy. They're going to have the better target selection. They're going to know how to play out a long team fight. And I think they just showed their expertise in that sense in that team fight just barely enough to be able to edge out that win for them in the end. But that is going to wrap up Lotus Rewind episode 1 regarding the week 1 games. Appreciate everyone for watching and coming out. Shout out to Nuffies again for the great interview at the beginning. Stubby, Zymphonic, any final words before we head out?
I just want to say, Batman, don't you dare let me down week 2. That's all I gotta say.
I mean, hey, make sure you don't miss tomorrow. I mean, that's the thing, right? We're picking back up, not tomorrow, on Wednesday. We're picking back up with week 2 after our Thanksgiving break. We're in for some crazy matches. They have more than 2 days to prepare for preseason patch, so I'm expecting some crazy things. So definitely tune in Wednesday and Thursday for our week 2 matches.
And hey, if you guys want your clips featured here in the highlight video, send the submissions over, and hopefully you'll get a chance to pop up here. But nonetheless, thank you guys. Thank you, everyone. Once again, thank you, Emma, for all the beautiful overlays and artwork and helping with the production. And yeah, hopefully we will see you guys next week.